This week on The Travel Show, we're in Jerusalem,
where I go under the streets of the city to discover its ancient treasures.
Ooh, look at this.
I also get my coffee cup read in Jerusalem's Albanian quarter.
Two people are disturbing you in a way. You've got to watch yourself.
That sounds worrying.
We meet the transgender traveller who found freedom in India. And London's original fast food. Anyone fancy some pie and mash? It's a city that's home to the world's three major monotheistic faiths, drawing in more than 3.5 million tourists a year. And of course, it's the diversity of ancient monuments, civilizations and architecture that everyone finds so compelling about Jerusalem.
And history just keeps on giving, because every day, even now, new discoveries and secrets are being revealed. And in fact, one of the world's most significant and controversial excavations is taking place right underneath my feet.
Hi.
Franny.
Nice to meet you.
Rajan, hi. How'd you do?
Welcome to
Thank
the city of David. It's the most spectacular place to be in Israel. Okay, let's go and take a look. We're walking up this...
Franny is a guide and hugely excited about the excavation of what was the Pilgrimage Road 2,000 years ago.
So these are all original stairs that we're walking up.
It was discovered by accident after a water pipe burst on the road above it during a snowstorm in 2004.
We're about to have a big climb.
Yep, let's do it.
Up we go.
The Pilgrimage Road runs from the ancient Siloam Pool to Temple Mount, also known as Haram Esh Sharif in Arabic, at the top. It's been almost totally excavated now, and this is what they discovered. Paving stones in almost pristine condition.
So we are now walking on original 2,000-year-old limestone street that was the center of all of Jerusalem.
This is the original limestone.
The original, perfect as if it was walked on yesterday.
It was in the 19th century that archaeologists first twigged that the ancient city of David wasn't actually within the famous old city walls of Jerusalem, but here, further south. But why is it so significant anyway?
So the city of David is pretty much ancient Jerusalem. It is the Jerusalem that starts as the capital of this area 3,000 years ago, which means everything that Jerusalem is today, pretty much we can learn about it, whether it's politically, religiously, culturally.
This former car park is where more incredible discoveries have been unearthed from the Roman and Byzantine periods and before. It's going to become the visitors centre when all the work is complete on the Pilgrimage Road.
As we go down, we're going back in time.
Astonishing.
When you see all of these different layers, we're pretty much going back thousands of years. You have a house right down there, just right below us. It's from 586 BCE. Up here with these columns, we're talking about the Roman time period. That's already 300 years later, and we're only, a couple of meters up. Just, wow. It's really so small.
So you're actually walking up and down.
You're walking up and down through
ages.
time, exactly.
It's still a few years before this will all be completed, but in the meantime, tourists are helping to uncover the past. Archaeologist Frankie Snyder regularly supervises groups of visitors as they help to trawl through the debris. But first, she gives them advice on what to look for.
So, let's grab a bucket.
Okay.
And see what we can find here.
Okay, let's go.
For everything else.
All the buckets we're sifting from today come from the Pilgrimage Road.
What might this be?
Ooh, a tooth?
Yes.
Wow. Let's look at that. This is a first for me. I'm holding a 2,000-year-old tooth.
Most days, teams of volunteers and tourists turn up and sift through a surprising amount of debris.
People love to find coins, and you heard somebody holler a few minutes ago that they found a coin.
And And here it is.
Most of our coins are made out of bronze, so they're going to be green, round, flat, and cruddy. First, we'll find out whose picture is on the coin and what the date of that coin is. Like the ones that we found with Pontius Pilate's picture on it. He was the procurator.
And
We have
infamously or famously
famously, or infamously, is the one who condemned Jesus to die on the cross. Beverly, I'm going to give you one more piece to throw into.
And as a seasoned archaeologist, how comfortable is Frankie with the excavation happening underneath people's homes?
I have seen them down there working, and they have a whole method for how they drill into an area that they're going to go into, how they put framing inside of there, and then take the dirt out, so that it's a secure tunnel.
Whilst the project team insist utmost safety for local residents is the priority, that isn't quite how everybody feels, especially amongst the Palestinian community who live here in Silwan, above the City of David site, which they call Wadi Hill Way. Local residents say cracks and sloping like this to dozens of houses have been caused by the excavation, complaining it's like enduring an earthquake. Nonetheless, the Israeli Supreme Court rejected those claims. As with many issues in Jerusalem, there are two quite different stories being told. And Aziz, a travel writer and guide, offers the alternative Palestinian perspective through his tours in the city. I met him at Damascus Gate.
So Jerusalem has many layers, and under us here there is a road from the 2nd century.
From the 2nd century going underneath here?
Yeah, it's the old market.
Aziz feels it's important to recognise that here in the market in the old city, local Arab families have been here for generations. Aziz's tour company offers visitors to many cities around the world with complicated histories a chance to experience an alternative perspective to what's in front of them.
The whole building was actually under where we're standing now.
And for here, given the chance, he thinks there could be a whole different type of tourist route in Jerusalem.
The City of David will tell you the Jewish story there, which is legitimate and it's important to be told. But it doesn't really tell you the story of the Palestinian residents there. It doesn't tell you the history of the Islamic groups that have lived in Jerusalem as well. And so if you come to Jerusalem and go to the City of David only, you will hear one narrative, a single narrative. And that's not fair to a city that has so much history, so much diverse history. It has Jewish history, has Christian history, has Muslim history, and in each of those has multiple histories as well. Ibn Battuta, an Arab traveler, said, "Travel makes you speechless, but then it turns you into a storyteller." And the best way to visit a place is talk to those shopkeepers, talk to the people you meet in the street. Everybody here is willing to talk to you and ask them questions. Ask them about the history that you are not being told. Ask them about their stories, the stories of their shops. How long has their families lived here? Talk to the people who live in the city and you will find so much more. Marhaba.
And that's exactly how Aziz found out about this next discovery.
He's saying 2,000 years of history.
Down here is 2,000 years of it. You've got to take me down.
I am taking you down.
Whoa. Look at this.
Welcome to underground Jerusalem.
So, Aziz, tell me, what are you seeing down here? What is down here?
This is probably around the time of the Crusades, the Ayyubite dynasty. And there are very few people who've seen this. We didn't know this exists a year and a half, 2 years ago. So it's an amazing thing what you see right now.
And in terms of levels of history, so you're saying this could be the Crusades. Beneath here,
there is another level. And this is obviously not only under this restaurant, this exists everywhere in the old city in Jerusalem.
whole new stories to be told.
So here's the rub. In Jerusalem, any excavation is going to be both amazing and controversial at the same time. But for followers of three of the world's major religions, curious tourists and lovers of history alike, the fact is, this city will always be a draw. And if you're thinking of coming here, here's some other things you may want to see or do. The country has more than 60 national parks and reserves to take your pick from, but why not head to Timna Park down in the south? They've created 54 kilometres of bike paths divided into several levels, from beginner to extreme tracks. You can also hire bicycles for the whole family whilst you're there. For something a bit different, head to the Negev Desert this April for Israel's largest hippie festival. The Zorba Festival takes place over 5 days with lots of dancing, meditation, music and yoga. And finally, did you know Israel is home to the world's only theatre company comprised entirely of deaf and blind actors? They're based in Jaffa. Just search for the Nalagat Theatre Company, which means please touch in Hebrew. The performances are told through speech and sign language, and cues are given to the actors by a drum beat so they can feel the vibrations.
Still to come on The Travel Show.
How a trip to India transformed a life. And it's a British institution, London's original fast food, pie and mash.
So don't go away. Now, you may have heard of reading tea leaves. Well, right now, I'm in the Armenian Quarter in the Old City in Jerusalem, and I'm going to meet a lady who's a specialist in a local custom of reading coffee, and it's free. Poppy.
Hello.
Rajan.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're most welcome.
Shall we go through?
Please,
Yeah, thank
please,
you.
please.
You're going to tell me my future?
I'll do my best, sir. Little by little. It's not whiskey.
It's nice.
It's beautiful. And hope. We'll wait for that.
Okay.
And now we could see. See? Could you see this mouse?
A mouse.
A mouse.
The shape of a mouse.
The head,
Yeah.
the body, and the tail.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
Now, a mouse in a cup means somebody, you will hear someone that he had been stolen. Maybe his wallet, maybe his house, anything. You will hear it.
Okay, when?
You will hear it anytime. Now, over here you could see everything is white, everything is clear. Money-wise, you're a bit choked in these days. And you're waiting for good money so that you will live better, okay?
Yeah.
Everything is fine, everything is clear. I can't see anything bad.
I want to buy into this. I believe in this. I think this is good. I'll take that.
Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed that.
Thank you very
I more
much.
than enjoyed that. I believed it.
Oh, dear.
And now, in the latest of our series about people who travel differently. For Sue Pascoe, ever since she transitioned from being a man to a woman, she's found it hard to gain acceptance whilst travelling, until that is, she went to India.
They say travel is good for the soul, and it certainly is. It's a change, it's broadening my horizons, and I've always loved travel. My name is Sue Pascoe. I love the travel experience, and I happen to be a woman with a trans past. So being able to travel now as Sue, I'm at peace with myself. And in the past when I travelled, often I was so in my head dealing with my own problems that I didn't always see the beauty around me. It's like the difference between listening to things in stereo and seeing things in 3D. The leaves, the trees, the sounds, so much more of me is in the here and now that all my senses see things differently. My travel choices, I think about quite carefully. One of my trips abroad was to go to India, and going through Heathrow was really difficult. There were comments, there were nods, I overheard somebody say, "Look at that man in a dress." And I wanted to shrink away. And I got on the plane and I felt really low. The stewardesses were brilliant. I was on a BA flight and they were really, really nice. But passengers around me weren't. And I could overhear quite a bit of the conversation, and it wasn't really pleasant. It was, what is this person doing in this part of the cabin with us? And it was not at all pleasant. And so I laid down and put the blanket over me and just shut the world out. And then I got off the plane in India, and I could not believe and understand or could have comprehended the difference in the way that I was welcomed. I got off the plane, and before I got through the baggage hall, people were coming up to me, putting money in my hand and wanting their picture taken with me. And I couldn't understand this. And it kept on happening. And what I learned was that in Indian culture, I was being regarded as someone who was semi-divine. And that was my moment when I decided that I'd found one place in the world that no matter if everywhere else didn't accept me as Sue, here was a place where I could be Sue. Today, travelling as a woman with a trans past is culturally significant for me, and seeing how different societies act towards trans people is fun. The biggest thing that I have on my face today is a smile, and when you interact with people with a smile, your whole experience is different.
Now finally this week. Long before the cheeseburger, it was here in London that a more British fast food was invented. We're not talking about fish and chips. This is pie and mash, a simple dish of a beef pie and mashed potatoes served with a liquor sauce made with fresh parsley. You'll traditionally find this dish served up in one of the many pie shops that dot working-class parts of the city. But they're fighting for survival, and the families who run them are working hard to keep this Cockney classic alive.
The difference between a good pie and a bad pie. Good ingredients first. If you haven't got that, it's trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, which doesn't really work. So you must have the good ingredients, and then you have to make it properly. You have to make it as it should be. So it's got plenty of meat, a nice drop of juice in it, good short crust pastry, and then bake it properly in a bloody good oven. And Bob's your uncle, you'll end up with good pie.
Pie houses first opened offering cheap but wholesome food in blue-collar parts of London back in mid-Victorian times. And leading the charge were two immigrant families, both newcomers to the city. The Manzas from Ravello in Italy and the Cooks from Wicklow in Ireland. They quickly expanded their pie and mash empires, and almost a century and a half later, some of their pie shops are still in business today.
I don't know if you can call it special, it's just that it's still, after 150 odd years, a good, solid, basic meal. There's no additives or colours or anything.
The pie shops quickly became a hub for many people in these communities where life could be tough. And are still a kind of home from home for some of their regulars, whose families have been coming here for generations.
This is one of my customers coming in now. He's been coming in for a good 40, 50 years. I've grown here and I've seen every shop here been built. I'm 76 and I'm up at 3 o'clock to come in with Jay.
Over the past 25 years, the fortunes of this part of London have changed. The docks shut and older, more traditional industries disappeared. New high-tech businesses, start-ups and developers moved in. Property prices and rents soared and many locals moved away. Plus, new immigrant communities have brought their own tastes and flavours and taken on the humble pie.
Many, many years ago, in the high streets and the markets, you would have had a cafe, a fish and chip shop, and a pie shop. The competition now is almost limitless. Consequently, all our portions of the pie have got smaller.
25 years ago, there were close to 60 pie and mash shops in London. Now there are barely 20 left, all of whom have to find new ways to adapt to survive.
We now do a vegan pie. I tweaked it so it's vegan now. They can actually come in and eat with their friends, which is nice.
Social media's played a big part in spreading the magic of pie and mash around the world, and now brings tourists looking for a slice of traditional, old working-class London to places like Cook's and Manze's, hopefully helping to ensure that they survive for many years to come.
6,945,437 views.
I saw a YouTube video about this place and about how they serve jellied eels and they had a whole process of how the pies are made, so that looked really nice. I'm really grateful that this place has survived for so long and we can come all the way from Singapore to try this like traditional blue-collar English food.
Who needs a Michelin star when you can have homemade pie like this, served with love and a big dollop of mash?
We have people coming literally now from the four corners of the world, and they come in and they walk in and go, "Oh, Joe, can we have a picture with you?" And they've come, some of them come straight from the airport. It's unreal. It is absolutely unreal. Look at the juice coming out, look at that. Sam, here's your spuds. Give them a rinse, please. And Bob's your uncle.
And that's all we've got time for today. But join us next week when
Addy takes a look back at some of our best trips and adventures this year on the show.
Oh, we made it. So catch us for that if you can. But until then, from me and the rest of the Travel Show team here in Jerusalem, it's goodbye.